Welcome to On the Chain.
This is John Deaton. Exactly the point here. So he's responding uh, to Bill here. Good man. I note that XRP called Ripple is described with Litecoin and Bitcoin as decentralized in one slide. This was 2013. That was Perkins Coie view, not inconsistent with the 2012 advice. How much more was it decentralized by June of 2018? All right. Then John Deaton's response was exactly the point here. If XRP was ever an investment contract to Ripple, it would have been most likely one in 2012. Yet the legal conclusion was that it was not. As each year passed, the XRP ecosystem grew and XRP became less and less of an investment contract of Ripple's. And one thing that we also see is that in those years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, there was a lot of expansion within the XRP space and a lot of, XRP being moved around and purchased from a retail perspective. What are your thoughts on Deaton's commentary there? Here's the XRP ecosystem growing, and it became less of an investment contract of Ripple's.
Well, here's the weird thing. So I'm kind of hung up on the whole Perkins Coie because Perkins Coie was responsible as one of the law firms, I believe, that went to Ethereum or helped. Remember that whole thing that went down with the law firm that met with the SEC. There's a whole. I think Perkins Coie was one of them. But I don't know if that holds a lot of water. Now, what I think is significant about that is that they were seeking out guidance from Perkins Coie, which is arguably one of the larger law firms in the United States. And at that time in 2012, who really had the competency level with such a brand new technology? But I've read through that; it's pretty long. The opinion that they rendered, but they did give a lot of pro and con type of stuff. Like overall, we believe it's not. But then they gave some small little side items. Well, you shouldn't be giving it to employees as payment. You shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that. So there was a whole lot of thought that went into crafting that. And I'm sure they got paid a lot of money, probably an XRP. Who knows? It could have been XRP. But the whole point of it is that it was an opinion. And again, you could go to 10 other law firms. They might give you 10 different opinions. But I think the significance is that in 2012, they were thinking ahead enough to say, let's go to one of the top law firms and let's find out where the guardrails are, at least what an attorney position would be from the idea, is it a security or not? And I believe this was probably shared with the SEC at some point. And that's the whole thing with 8 years. So 8 years later, you come riding in, with your pillar enforcement under your arm, it's like, and then but again, but here's the funny thing about this, Jeff. One of the things that you and I surmised back in December of 2020, when this lawsuit hit, when everyone was freaked out and selling bags and chaos and hitting the wall and everybody was nervous and screaming like, oh no, you and I were the first ones to say, I believe that this might be the fastest way to get some clarity. And it's still a year plus into it. It's still looking like the fastest way to get some clarity because Congress, nothing. They've done nothing, Jeff.
They've done less than nothing. Actually, in fact,
they've done butt kiss, nothing, zilch,
which is amazing because we have some bills that have been placed in front of Congress and then nothing. And that's really it's really troubling. But now we're getting a lot more people speaking up, potentially getting nothing. But eventually we'll get something. There's a lot of commentary going on, really mentioning the judge in the case, and I thought this was really spot on. There's some commentary as we kind of go through this, but one thing he said below is an honest question that many have. I've seen a lot of negative comments lately about the judges. Your frustration is misplaced. Please note, I understand everyone's anger, but people are unrealistically expecting the judge on her own volition to throw out the case. And so I look at this. So here's Don Moberly. He said, honest question here, John. Why does the judge allow this clown show to continue. And so before we even scroll down, I know you have some commentary on this one right here, but and some people have said, we're at this point, why doesn't the judge just throw the case out? But Chip, what happens at this point if they just dismiss the case and she says, you know what, forget this, we're just going to throw it out? Where does that put us?
It puts us further behind than when that's like time travel, Jeff. That's horrible. The worst possible thing that could happen, Jeff. Just horrible. It's like, yeah, and that's the other thing too. I mean, the SEC goes, well, you know what? We were just thinking about it. We're like, we're going to dismiss the case. It's horrible. You got to see it through. And a lot of times I see a lot of anger misplaced. And I think John Deaton's right. You got to be careful with this anger, because really, the way I look, the way the judge is handling things and granting extensions and extensions and extensions, you can't go to an appellate court and say, well, wait a minute, you were granted these 40 different extensions here. So, you had 2 years of collecting information prior to that. And you had, if it ever ended up in an appellate court, it's backed up. I mean, what are you going to do? It's like every time they ask for something, they basically got it. They weren't like overruled. No, we're going to continue on. So it's going to look really bad on the SEC. On suppose Ripple wins, or certainly gets clarity, and then on an appeal ends up in appellate court. And then, the bottom line is that's fantastic. I mean, that the judge is taking it seriously. And I know people are frustrated. A lot of times they know all the little nitty gritty details in that, but you got to look at this on a larger scale. And I also think both of these judges understand that this is a very large case that matters. The outcome of this case is going to change things here in the United States. It's potentially going to change it in other places as well. But they understand the enormity of the outcome of this project, of this case, and Ripple as a company, XRP, and everything and so forth. But I still don't care what people say. If you're talking about XRP in 2022, how is the SEC ever going to prove that it's a security? And Gary Gensler, come on in, register. You come in, you register, and then we'll talk about it, Jeff. Nobody wants to talk about it.
So, kind of along the lines of what you said, here's John Deaton continued with his commentary here. That's not how it works. The judge rules on motions that are filed before her. Ripple has not filed a motion to dismiss the case for any type of wrongdoing. The judge only knows about conflicts of interest and appearances of impropriety because I submitted a declaration citing it. Mm-hmm. To be candid, the only reason I was able to cite to those conflicts is because the SEC attacked me personally, trying to paint me as an unhinged Twitter conspiracy theorist. Unless Ripple files a motion to dismiss based on all of this info, the judge isn't going to just throw it out. I mean, this is great. So if she did throw it out, as many wish, there'd be no clarity, which is kind of what you were just saying. No clarity regarding XRP at all. The exchanges would not relist because there would be no finding that XRP is not a security. Second, she would get overturned on appeal and a new judge assigned, and the case would start over. People can disagree with me, but attacking the judge is unwarranted and misplaced. I stand by what I said in March and April of 21, even before I was granted amicus. Ripple and XRP holders got lucky having these two judges assigned. And I think, Chip, that's spot on. I agree with what John's assessment is there. And right here, the exchanges won't relist, because there's nothing. There's no outcome. Just because you dismiss, that doesn't mean dismiss with a settlement, dismiss. Right. It's just, hey, no, the SEC, you guys overstepped, you overreached. That's it. Case dismissed. Now, hey, now they get to, come, and now there's zero clarity. We're, like you said, we're actually set backwards because now we're in a much worse position. Much worse position. I want to see outcome. I don't want to see settlement. I want to see outcome.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.